Before Hollywood's moral code slammed the doors on bold storytelling, a group of fearless actresses set the screen ablaze. They shattered rules, challenged every expectation, and paid a steep price for living life on their own terms. Their stories are not just about rebellion. They're about the cost of courage, fame, and independence in a world desperate to keep women in their place. Which stars dared to live without apology? And what did it cost them? Let's revisit the legends who truly rewrote the script. Mae West. No one lit up pre-code Hollywood quite like Mae West, a force of nature whose entire career was a celebration of independence and sharp wit. From her days in vaudeville, Mae West learned early that controversy could be a powerful tool. She wrote her own plays, including Diamond Lil and Sex, the latter leading to her arrest for corrupting the youth. But a jail stint only fueled her legend. Hollywood couldn't resist, and when Mae arrived on the silver screen, she brought her unapologetic voice with her. Her film debut in Night After Night stole the show, and soon after, She Done Him Wrong became a smash hit, saving Paramount from bankruptcy. West's sharp one-liners and fearless attitude challenged everything polite society stood for. Audiences adored her. She offered laughter and a sense of freedom during the Great Depression, while conservative critics and censors trembled. Mae didn't just act, she advocated for women's autonomy and self-determination. But the price was high. As Hollywood's self-censorship tightened, her bold scripts were slashed, her roles sanitized, and eventually she was sidelined by a system afraid of her voice. Yet her legacy remains. Mae West proved that wit, charm, and courage could change an entire industry, and that playing by your own rules is sometimes the bravest act of all. Jean Harlo. Dubbed the blonde bombshell, Jean Harlo blazed across the Hollywood sky with charisma and raw energy that left audiences breathless. Her rise was meteoric. After stealing scenes in Hell's Angels, she dyed her hair platinum and set off a national craze. But Harlo was more than just a look. She brought a unique blend of humor, vulnerability, and confidence to roles in Red-Headed Woman and Red Dust, showing the world that women could be both bold and deeply human. Harlo's screen persona was a direct challenge to social norms. She played women who were assertive, witty, and entirely unafraid to go after what they wanted. The studios loved her popularity, but the censors hated her influence. The Hays Code's implementation stripped her roles of much of their bite, and critics began to demand more traditional stories. Harlo's career was never quite the same once the rules changed. Her early death left fans mourning not just the loss of a star, but of a spirit that had redefined what a leading lady could be. Jean Harlo broke barriers, laughed at the rules, and in doing so, became a legend, paying the price for living on her own terms. Norma Shearer. Norma Shearer was a pioneer for women who refused to fit into the roles that society prescribed. She rose from humble beginnings and early rejection. Critics said she wasn't pretty enough for the screen to become one of MGM's top stars. With determination, Shearer transformed herself, studying tirelessly and commissioning bold photo shoots to challenge the era's idea of beauty. In The Divorcee, Shearer's character rejected the notion that a woman had to forgive and forget. Instead, she chose her own path, making choices usually reserved for male characters. The film was a sensation, earning Shearer an Academy Award and setting a new standard for honesty in storytelling. But Norma paid dearly for her independence. As the code tightened, her roles were cut down, and studios pushed her into safer, less daring parts. The woman who had once symbolized female autonomy found herself boxed in by the very industry she helped build. Still, Shearer's influence echoes. She dared to live and act with courage, opening doors for countless women who followed. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck's journey from orphan to Hollywood icon is one of grit, survival, and sheer determination. She began on Broadway before leaping to film, quickly earning a reputation for tough, independent characters who refused to play the victim. Whether it was Ladies of Leisure or Babyface, Stanwyck brought a depth and authenticity to her roles that few could match. Stanwyck's characters often faced tough choices, yet she portrayed them with dignity and strength. Audiences saw in her a reflection of their own struggles, especially during the harshest years of the Depression. But her unfiltered portrayals drew the ire of the censors, who saw her films as dangerously modern. After the code, Stanwick was often given roles that muted her trademark fire. Still, she continued to act for decades, adapting but never losing her edge. Barbara Stanwyck's legacy is that of a survivor, a woman who broke barriers and inspired millions to stand tall, no matter the cost. Kay Francis. Kay Francis was known as the Queen of Warner Brothers in the early 1930s, a star whose elegance and sophistication made her the highest-paid actress in Hollywood for several years. With her distinctive voice and regal bearing, Francis captivated audiences in films like Trouble in Paradise and Jewel Robbery. Her roles often pushed boundaries, playing women who were witty, independent, and unwilling to be boxed in. Francis's career was a balancing act. She enjoyed immense popularity, but the same qualities that made her a star also put her in the crosshairs of censors. As the code came down hard on so-called immoral behavior, Francis found her parts cut and her roles diminished. Soon, she was labeled box office poison, a reflection not of her talent but of the industry's fear of bold women. The price for breaking the rules was steep, but Kay Francis never backed down from playing parts that resonated with real women. Her career is a testament to the power and the peril of living life on your own terms. Joan Blondelle. Joan Blondelle was the kind of actress who brought both sparkle and depth to the screen, lighting up every film with a sense of genuine warmth and quick wit. Her start in vaudeville gave her a comic edge, but it was her film roles during Hollywood's pre-code era that made her unforgettable. Blondelle wasn't just the best friend or comic relief. She was often the heart of the story, playing working women who hustled for every break and found ways to lift up others even when times were tough. Films like Gold Diggers of 1933 and Footlight Parade showcased Blondelle's unique ability to blend humor with hard-earned wisdom. She played characters who were fun-loving, fiercely loyal, and never afraid to speak their minds. Audiences, worn down by the Great Depression, connected to her characters, women who kept going no matter what the world threw at them. But Joan's willingness to challenge traditional roles came at a cost. As censorship increased, the very qualities that made her so refreshing were downplayed, and she was pushed into less daring parts. Yet, Blondelle never lost her spirit or work ethic, continuing to shine in more than 100 film and television roles. Her legacy endures as a true original, a woman whose courage and humor still inspire anyone who's ever wanted to rewrite the rules. Clarab. Clarab was more than just a movie star. She was a cultural phenomenon. Known as the It Girl, Bo embodied everything bold and new about the 1920s and early 1930s. She brought a natural energy to the screen that audiences had never seen before, making characters feel real, alive, and distinctly modern. Bo's roles in films like It and Call Her Savage challenged what women could be in film. She was daring, funny, and refreshingly direct, often playing characters who chased after their dreams instead of waiting for someone to hand them a happy ending. But Clara's openness was a double-edged sword. She lived her life with honesty, often sharing personal struggles that most stars would have kept hidden. The press, always hungry for scandal, scrutinized her every move and created an image of Bo as both a rebel and a rule breaker. As the studios and censors tightened their grip, Clara found it harder and harder to navigate the world she had once conquered so effortlessly. Eventually, she walked away from Hollywood, disillusioned by the pressures of fame and the industry's demand for conformity. But her influence never faded. Every actress who dared to be authentic, vulnerable, or unapologetically herself owed something to Clarab's trailblazing spirit. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was the epitome of old Hollywood glamour. But beneath that cool exterior was an artist who loved to challenge the status quo. Bursting onto the international scene with The Blue Angel, Dietrich brought a sense of sophistication, mystery, and boldness to her roles that few could match. She mesmerized audiences in Morocco and Shanghai Express, embracing characters who lived by their own rules and expectations. Dietrich was as innovative off-screen as she was on it. She played with style, often wearing tailored suits and adopting a persona that blurred traditional ideas of femininity. This made her both a fashion icon and a lightning rod for controversy. Studio executives didn't always know what to make of her independence, and censors grew wary of her ability to challenge boundaries without ever saying a word. As censorship became more strict, Dietrich's most daring roles became harder to find. Still, she refused to let anyone define her. She continued to reinvent herself, performing for troops during World War II and speaking out on social issues. Marlene Dietrich's refusal to be boxed in, whether by a script or society's expectations, inspired generations to see individuality as something to be celebrated, not feared. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo's allure was the kind that could quiet a crowded theater. Her mere presence on screen commanded attention. In pre-code Hollywood, she became known for playing women of intelligence, complexity, and emotional depth, with standout performances in Mata Hari and Grand Hotel. Garbo had a gift for expressing volumes with a simple glance, making her characters both captivating and enigmatic. Off-screen, Garbo fiercely guarded her privacy, fueling her legend as Hollywood's most mysterious star. She refused to play the Hollywood publicity game, giving few interviews and keeping her personal life almost entirely out of the public eye. This only added to her mystique and appeal. Garbo's insistence on strong roles for women often put her at odds with studios and censors. She sought out scripts that allowed her to explore characters who didn't always fit the era's expectations. When Hollywood shifted towards stricter censorship, Garbo chose to walk away rather than accept less challenging roles. Her departure left a void in the industry, but her legacy as a pioneer of strong, independent women in film endures. Garbo's story is a testament to the power of silence, dignity, and the courage to choose one's own path, no matter the cost. Ruth Chatterton. Ruth Chatterton's career was defined by a string of powerful, unconventional roles. She excelled in portraying women who were not just participants, but leaders in their own stories, most memorably in Female, where she played the head of a major automobile company, making decisions that men were rarely shown making on screen. Chatterton's on-screen characters were often resourceful, self-sufficient, and refreshingly direct, presenting a new model for what women could aspire to be in American cinema. But Chatterton's boldness came at a cost. As censors clamped down and audiences grew more conservative, she found fewer opportunities to play such progressive roles. Rather than compromise, Chatterton sought fulfillment outside of acting, finding success as both a novelist and a licensed pilot, uncommon achievements for a woman in her day. Chatterton's willingness to challenge expectations both on and off the screen paved the way for future actresses to demand more from Hollywood. She may have left the limelight sooner than many of her peers, but her influence remained. Ruth Chatterton proved that strength, intelligence, and ambition were not traits to hide, but qualities to celebrate, regardless of whether the world was ready. Myrna Loy. Myrna Loy's career spanned decades, but her pre-code era roles showcased a fearless, playful side that Hollywood often tried to suppress. Early on, she was cast in exotic or mysterious parts, but Loy refused to let herself be typecast. Her breakthrough came with the Thin Man series, where her character, Nora Charles, was every bit as sharp and capable as her male counterpart, a true partnership rarely seen in the films of the day. Loy's performances were marked by intelligence, wit, and an easy grace that captivated audiences. She was unafraid to push the boundaries of what was considered acceptable, taking on roles that challenged stereotypes and offered new models for women on screen. Off-camera, she was outspoken about civil rights and the responsibilities of public figures, advocating for causes that mattered to her even when it risked her career. As the Code era advanced, Loy was often guided into more conventional parts, but she never lost the spirit that made her famous. Myrna Loy paid a price for her independence, occasionally losing out on high-profile roles, but her impact can be seen in every smart, witty heroine that followed in her footsteps. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's life was a testament to relentless ambition and the pursuit of self-improvement. Rising from poverty, she reinvented herself time and again, moving from flapper roles to some of the most challenging parts in pre-code cinema. In films like Rain and Possessed, Crawford played women who fought for respect, success, and personal happiness, often at odds with the era's expectations for female characters. Crawford's drive made her a target for both critics and censors, who sometimes found her characters too assertive or complex. The industry's shift toward more sanitized stories limited the kinds of roles she could take, but Crawford refused to be sidelined. Instead, she adapted, delivering powerful performances well into the post-Code era and eventually earning an Academy Award for Mildred Pierce. Her story is one of resilience, never backing down from a challenge and never accepting less than she deserved. Joan Crawford paved the way for future stars to demand more from their work and to take control of their own narratives. The price she paid was high, but the legacy she left behind is one of enduring influence and inspiration. Constance Bennett. Constance Bennett brought style, intelligence, and a wry sense of humor to every role she played. She was one of the highest-paid actresses of her day, headlining films like What Price Hollywood and Bed of Roses. Bennett often played women who were quick on their feet and adept at navigating complex situations, reflecting the shifting roles of women during the pre-Code era. But Bennett's independent streak extended beyond the screen. She was known for negotiating her own contracts and demanding respect in an industry that was often dismissive of women's ambitions. This assertiveness occasionally landed her in trouble with studio heads and industry gatekeepers, especially as the Code era brought stricter limitations on what was acceptable for women on screen. Despite these challenges, Bennett continued to work in film, radio, and eventually television, never content to fade quietly into the background. Her willingness to take risks, both professionally and personally, set a powerful example for those who followed. Constance Bennett's blend of sophistication and grit showed that you could break the rules with elegance and still come out on top. Miriam Hopkins. Miriam Hopkins was a magnetic presence in Hollywood's golden age, known for her spirited portrayals and quick intelligence. She shined in films like Trouble in Paradise and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where her characters were often as clever and unpredictable as she was in real life. Hopkins was not afraid to play morally complex women, characters who made mistakes, learned lessons, and refused to apologize for being themselves. Hopkins' fierce independence sometimes led to clashes with directors and studio executives as she pushed for better scripts and more meaningful roles. When censorship tightened, the opportunities for such daring roles dwindled, and Hopkins found herself increasingly on the fringes of Hollywood. Undeterred, she continued to act on stage and television, bringing the same intensity and commitment to every performance. Her legacy is one of determination and courage, a reminder that sometimes breaking the rules isn't just about causing a stir, but about demanding respect and equality. Miriam Hopkins showed that being true to oneself, even in the face of setbacks, is the ultimate mark of success. Dorothy McCale. Dorothy McCale's career may not be as widely remembered today, but in the pre-Code era, she was a shining example of Hollywood's willingness to take risks. Best known for her work in Safe in Hell and Love Affair, McCale specialized in playing women who faced danger and adversity head-on. She brought a realism and strength to her characters that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. McCale's fearless approach to storytelling won her devoted fans, but it also made her a target as the film industry began to clamp down on anything seen as too bold. When the Code was enforced, she struggled to find roles that matched her talent and willingness to tackle challenging material. Refusing to simply accept the changing tides, McCale explored new opportunities in radio and on stage, continuing to work long after her film career slowed. Her resilience in the face of adversity is a testament to her inner strength. Dorothy McCale's story serves as a powerful reminder that the true rule breakers may not always get the spotlight, but their courage leaves a lasting impact on the art of cinema. These 15 actresses didn't just entertain, they rewrote the rules for everyone who followed. Their courage, wit, and talent challenged the world to see women as complex, powerful, and worthy of center stage. For every door slammed shut, they forced another open, leaving a legacy of strength and inspiration. Which of these legends inspires you most? Drop a comment below and share your favorite story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold tales from Hollywood's boldest era.